It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Southern Oregon's head women's wrestling coach, Coach Joyce Levendusky. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching as a head coach in college wrestling?
Yeah, and to be completely transparent, I didn't know that this was the next move for me. But I had a very interesting year this past year. I had a pretty major surgery, which kind of put a halt on my own wrestling career, as well as a transition of coaching that was happening at SOU, and just absolutely love this program ever since I started being involved with it as an athlete and then an assistant coach. And I just felt like this was absolutely the right move for this next year. And it's going to be a lot of learning, and I'm very, very excited to be taking on this opportunity.
What was your collegiate time like being a collegiate wrestler?
Oh, fun, but I would just say transformative for the most part. I had a really good coach, Sam Schmitz at McKendree, when I started wrestling there in 2018, and I wrestled 4 years there, and then I wrestled at SOU for my fifth year. And there's nothing better than being a part of a great team with a good culture, right? And I was just blessed enough to happen to choose the right coach and choose the right team where I joined, and they were very about not just making good wrestlers but good people, and then winning was kind of an effect of that. So I had a great experience, and I think that it was really, like I said, transformative to my character, and so I'm just so thankful for my years, plus great friends, right? It's a cool community, wrestling. And so I've made lots of my current friends I have today. Person I moved into a dorm with my freshman year. This is the first year I'm not going to be a roommate with her since she just got married. So 6 years, living together, but great relationships, great memories. And I'm just very thankful for my time as a college athlete.
What was that experience like getting to put on two singlets during your collegiate time with McKendree and Southern Oregon?
It was pretty awesome. Yeah, I was very lucky. I didn't get to wrestle for SOU all that much, but I would say I got the most out of the college scene at my time. There's obviously huge universities popping up and more growth in women's wrestling every day. But at my time, like, I was a part of such a competitive and successful and dominant team at McKendree, and part of the NCAA when it started to become an emerging sport. And so I got to kind of have the experience for a couple of years in the NCAA division, and then to finish out in the NAI division. That was pretty cool to be able to, have experience in both pools, wrestle both groups of athletes, and really it helped me move all the way across the country too, and get new experiences out here. I grew up in New York, did my undergrad in Illinois, and then now I'm West Coast in Oregon. And so just such a cool experience that I was blessed to be able to have. And moving out to SOU, that this school has things that I'm super appreciative about that McKendree didn't have, and McKendree had things, and that team and had things that this one has different, so I got pros and cons of both, and it was just such a really great experience across the board. I was blessed to be involved in two great teams, which is more than some people can say. I was lucky and very blessed. So it was awesome.
Throughout your collegiate experience, what was it like getting to put on a singlet for both universities?
It was a pretty cool experience. As I said, I got to have the pros and cons of both universities, and there were mostly pros for both. And I had great coaches across the board and great teammates, and being able to wrestle in both NCAA and NAI was pretty cool opportunity. I don't think very many people get to wrestle in two divisions in their lifetime. So I had a blast.
While at McKendree as a wrestler, what was it like going to 3 national championships?
Like winning 3 national team titles. I mean, it's awesome, right? That my experience at McKendree with Coach Sam Schmitz was amazing towards my character and towards my wrestling abilities. And I think it's like, it says a lot about the culture that he crafted and that we crafted on that team. And it's not very common, I think, that like things fall together where your hard work pays off year after year after year. And so it was really amazing. My first year there, as a freshman was the first year that they won the national dual tournament too. And so we went on to win 3 national dual titles and then 3 team national titles at nationals. And it was just a dominating program when I was on that team. And I just keep saying I'm thankful, right? Like I just happened to get connected with this great coach, this great team. And when everything falls together to be able to win, they say it's not all about winning, but like when you actually get to win, it's pretty cool too, right? We'd have a good experience and win. So yeah, that was great.
How was that transition like for you as a collegiate athlete, going from being a collegiate athlete to getting into the college coaching?
Oh yeah, that just happened last year. In all honesty, I entered last year with more of an intent to be like a practice partner coach because I had just come off of making my first USA national team and wrestling in Final X and had a very successful year and was really excited about my own career, right? And I was like excited to take on this new challenge of coaching too because that was something I'd only done in like high school level and even club level. And yeah, I was thinking I'd be pretty like hands-on type of coach, practicing with them and showing them stuff. And then I got hurt a couple weeks into season, and it was pretty like crippling injury for a while. Like I can walk now and everything, but with tearing my knee up like that, it was a big perspective change, and I think it made it a big learning year where not only was it this new role as a coach, but it took the athlete part completely away. And so I think that was a blessing because it actually made me develop this piece so much more and really focus even more on the coaching side of things and learning. Man, I was so blessed to have that team throughout my injury and how much they immediately showed me respect at SOU for these people that I had just been teammates with. They immediately showed me respect as an assistant coach, and being able to learn and just fully focus on coaching last year was really helpful. And now that, this string of events has led to taking over as the head coach, I'm even more thankful, as silly as it sounds, that I had that injury to take away my focus on my own career for a little while. You know what I mean? And I think in doing that too, I will become an even better athlete through the learning that I've done so far just after 1 year as an assistant coach. So it makes me even more excited for this year.
What were some of the things that you learned as an assistant coach to then help you to make that transition to become a head coach?
Man, I would say like to use and rely on the people around you. We had a big team last year. We'll have a little bit of a smaller one this year, like just a little bit of a tinier roster, but we were over 50 people last year. And it can be a lot, right? As even a big coaching staff, we had quite a few assistant coaches. It's still a lot. And so I think leaning on team leaders is big, having athletes on the team, empowering them to, facilitate a healthy culture as well. And it not just being, the one head coach facilitating that culture, but it's got to come from top down and then spread to the athletes. So leaning on athletes in a way, and empowering them more and then having a good group of assistant coaches. I'm so blessed to be moving into this year with, in my opinion, some of the best assistant coaches that anyone could ask for. I've got not only great wrestling skill, but just trustworthy, incredible people that care about the team and they're doing it for the girls and for the athletes. And so I would say that was something I learned, how much you need each other, right? And you can't know everything and do everything yourself. You need other people as a coach. And then I would say how different athletes are, how individualistic they all are, and how different they learn, and the things they go through are obviously going to be completely unique depending on the athlete. And so taking each athlete kind of case by case while holding a common standard, I think is the tough part. But holding common standards while not just writing people off, but paying attention to each individual athlete, I think is huge.
What was that feeling like getting announced to become the head coach at your alma mater of Southern Oregon?
Unexpected and exciting. Yeah, it was a kind of a decision that I wasn't anticipating. The string of events led to a transition in coaching staff. I'm a big believer in God, and so my faith, I felt like this was just an open door and a door that I was meant to walk through. And so doing it at a school that just finished my master's degree at, I have such great relationships here with the other coaches as well as the athletes, and it just felt, and the athletic department's amazing. The whole community here is great. So it felt like an easy call to take this job, and one that I'm just so excited for because of the amazing amount of support that I've already received and that I know I can trust to receive moving forward as I'm learning.
After getting announced to become the head coach, what was that feeling like stepping onto that mat for the first time as a head coach?
Well, I mean, we actually don't start quite yet, so haven't been able to step out there, but I'm very excited to do it. I think I did get some great experience, at least with the literally coaching in the corner and stuff like that as a assistant coach this past year. But our season's going to be kicking off in about November. We're starting our preseason September 23rd. Out West Coast, we start a little bit later than like Midwest schools, East Coast schools. So a lot of them are already in school, getting their term started. Our girls are still in the summer, but I'm really excited for when that time comes, and I know they are too. They're all going to be super rejuvenated from the summer and ready to really get after it.
For you being a first-time head coach, what will that feeling feel like to step onto that mat and lead the team?
And lead the team. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm just I think humbling, right? Like just I was a teammate with some of these girls, some of these athletes, and then I did assistant coach last year, and I know the talent, the dreams, the goals, and the wrestling maturity level of this team, and to be trusted in that leadership role is, like I said, very humbling, and I just have so much gratitude. But also confidence. I feel that as soon as I was a freshman at McKendree, again, I'll bring up Sam Schmitz, great coach. He said in our preseason first day, he said, raise your hand if you're a leader. And I was a little freshman and I was like, I think I'm a leader, but like I'm not old enough, and I kind of did one of these and then I put it down and he told me, like never shy away from being a leader ever again when you are one. And so I think I'm very excited to take on this new level of leadership. And I feel confident that I'll be able to take what's thrown at me and again, because of the amount of support I have, that gives me even more confidence. So very, very excited.
For you, what will that feeling feel like to get to coach some of your teammates that you played with?
I think that there's just a common understanding, right, that I'm not coming into it necessarily as I know all, but that's how athletes also should come into any coaching relationship. That's how, even when you start to have any level of success, I feel like assuming you know everything is a path to never improving again, right? So I think that I have a great relationship with them and even stronger because I was able to be their teammate. So they can trust my actions, hopefully, right? They saw me as an athlete. And so if I tell them to do something, hopefully they'll be like, well, you did it when you were the athlete. So I'll trust that you think it's right. And I think that being their teammate too allowed me some silent leadership and to be able to lead by example. And now I'm just stepping into a little bit more of a vocal role with a great level of trust. So I appreciate how much they trust me and I trust them. And I think that's what's going to make this year a somewhat smooth transition.
What will that typical wrestling match look like for you now as a head coach?
A wrestling match, like, or a tournament, like when we go to tournaments, depends. But I mean, a typical day, we normally will show up to the tournament. We would have grocery shopped the day before. And so we got everything ready for weigh-ins. And we got to make sure they're all ready to get fueled up. Show up with plenty of time before weigh-ins, make sure they're in line, make sure everybody's on weight day of, nobody's running at the tournament. I think that's super silly. And then ready for weigh-ins, kill it at the weigh-ins, right? That's the first match. You got to beat the scale. Making weight, fueling up, getting a good hard warm-up going, and then the fun begins, right? And so then matches go all day, but sometimes 2-day tournaments and stuff. But I think as the coaches, it's just really important to keep the energy up, right? Because I think it can be more exhausting than people tell you as a coach, right? Like when you're the athlete, a tournament's tiring, but as the coach, nobody tells you how tiring it is to be yelling all day and running around. So keeping the energy up, staying super positive amidst, obviously there will be losses at times, keeping people focused, moving on to the next match, not sitting too long in their losses and feeling confident moving into the bracket. So I guess that's a typical day.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you started to rebuild for the Southern Oregon's women's wrestling program?
Yeah, man, I can't take too much credit for the culture. I know what I'm gonna really focus on this year. But before I say that, the culture here that like I can't take credit for is it's been developed, right? They've had a string of good coaches before, and the men that have led this program have been incredible. They've really just facilitated cultures of hard work mixed with fun. I think that's something that I was shocked by when I came to be here as an athlete was the amount of fun they had, right? They were dancing at national duels when we went and won our national dual title. They were dancing before every every duel, and they just have a lot of fun with it because they really love wrestling. And I think that the culture of this program speaks for itself in that with this recent transition of coaches, it was somewhat unexpected. And so with the previous coach leaving, it was a time where people can transfer, people can leave, do the next best thing for themselves. And we had a very limited number of transfers and people leaving the program. Basically, our whole roster stayed because of the culture of this team and because of how much they love each other and how much this area, this community, this athletic department supports the team. They were all ready immediately to just stay. And that honestly came as a surprise to me because you just assume, right? People are going to leave when there's a transition. And so anyway, there's already a great culture here, which makes me stepping in here like it's kind of a nice thing to be handed. But what we're going to really focus on, the team taking ownership of itself, right? Having team leaders that help kind of facilitate positive, focused environment that buy into what the coaches are saying. So it's not just the coaches enforcing those things. People leading by example, people loving each other. And even when we're not always friends, because a big roster of women or men, but a big roster of women can be hard to make everybody friends. They're not going to all be friends. But respecting that they're teammates with a common goal so that they're able to at least be there for each other and have each other's backs, even if maybe they're not best friends off the mat, right? So that's really what I'm looking for this year is a high standard on the team and people holding each other accountable while loving each other and having some fun. So
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
we'll be competing against Providence quite a bit. I mean, we'll compete against everybody in our conference. We're not having a ton of like dual style tournaments, but we're going to see a lot of them. EOU, even junior colleges actually that are nearby. We're going to see a lot of them in tournaments that we're going to in the area. There have been more West Coast tournaments kind of popping up. And so that's when we'll wrestle against them mostly. We try to get conference duels too, but we'll have some this year, and we're going to have quite a bit of just seeing those teams in like open tournaments and in things that are hosted. So I'm excited, and I've been, learning the landscape a bit more. We've been hopping on some calls and getting to know the coaches around here. Everyone's super supportive, and I'm really appreciative of all the coaches that I've been interacting with so far too. They know it's my first time, so they're helping me out, and I'm really excited to have a great season with all of them.
What will it be like getting to compete against some of these different schools like Life University that you may see?
Oh yeah, it can be. I think that's where it can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes, where being so far from some universities that you're like excited to see, where Life we'll see them at a couple tournaments, like we'll probably see them at maybe Indiana Tech, national duels, nationals, but we don't see them as frequently, obviously, as we see these West Coast teams. And so I think that viewing it as like a good challenge and stepping up to the plate is always exciting for the ladies on the team. But that's where the women's wrestling landscape is unique. Is sometimes you don't see these teams where you're both highly competitive and you're excited to face off, but you don't see them until the big stage sometimes. So it's really about preparation, making sure you're ready to go. So that when that challenge comes, you're ready for it. But I'm really excited to see lots of different teams. The women's wrestling landscape and NAIA as well as NCAA is just it's so get it like more and more developed every year that there are some teams that's just exciting to wrestle against them. They have some great wrestlers, and I'm excited to be challenged. It's good.
For you as a head coach, what is that like helping your players transition from the time difference of going from the East to the West when going to the East to play teams like Life and Dubuque?
Oh yeah, we just try to make sure we get out there like not day of or even day before. Well, typically the more of like a time change there is, we will go out there. If say we're wrestling on a Saturday or a Sunday, we'll try to get out there Thursday. Just give them some time to acclimate. It's obviously not as crazy as like overseas wrestling where you need like a whole week of acclimating, but some time to make sure they're focused on their weight and on just getting some rest and not traveling and getting right into competition. So normally we'll just give like a day or two of buffer and for like some of the bigger competitions, maybe a little bit more. I mean, these girls are ready for anything. They practice early and in the afternoons as well. We're actually transitioning, so they're able to wake up whenever they need to and just be ready to have their game face on. So
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a head coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
it depends on the athlete, what it looks like. I mean, with kind of the reaching out process, the women's wrestling pool of high school wow, like it's huge, right? And there's so many states now with just super highly competitive state tournaments. And then there's, of course, like national level events. And so when it comes to recruiting, it's like obviously an easy way to look at athletes would be like rankings, national level rankings, state tournaments, placements and such. At the same time, what I really look for, it's like almost bigger than that, is like you can develop someone's wrestling, but developing like someone being a good person or not, that's hard. So looking for people that truly just have goals, they have goals. They're coming to college with some goals of getting better and with some goals of accomplishing things, and they just want help doing that. And then people with GPA is huge, right? People that show that they don't just work hard in the wrestling room, but they work hard outside. That really speaks on work ethic and the type of athlete that they're going to be. And just character says a lot. And the more freestyle experience they can have, that's of course helpful too. So looking for freestyle experience, state placement, national level placement, rankings are all nice, but character is huge for sure. And the process will typically look like we'll get in contact, maybe hop on a phone call, Zoom call, discuss things, get them scheduled for a visit, come out on a visit if they're interested, talk about financials. Sometimes people want to visit again if they're nearby. Like to normally run them through a practice too, and so that they can kind of get an idea of what that's like or just see a practice, and then we go from there. So
For these prospective student athletes, while on that official visit, what is it like getting to see them fall in love with the campus and the facility?
yeah, I think it's pretty cool because I remember doing it myself. One thing that's cool about NAIA is that I would say there aren't as many rules. Like with visits, you can kind of just visit. You don't need to schedule anything officially. Like you can just visit a school. And so it makes it a little bit easier and quicker to get people out sometimes. But I remember my visits and how like confused I was a little bit about the college scene. And now it's a little bit more complicated because at the time when I was looking, there was one division other than junior colleges, but there was like NCAA and NAIA schools were all just WCWA. We all just wrestled in one pool. And so it's a little bit simpler, but I was still confused. So seeing them come, like enjoy things, and it's almost like they don't know what to ask sometimes. And I try to think back of what I didn't know to ask, and I'll try to help fill in some info there. But it is really cool seeing people so passionate and so excited to enter that college scene. And yeah, I'm excited about some of the athletes I've already met and some of the ones I'm talking to. And yeah, it's cool to see them fall in love, like you said.
As a head coach and alma mater, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that Southern Oregon singlet for the first time?
I'd say again, I remember it, right? The nerves. And I just, as an assistant coach, right? And this year, I just try to tell them, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, this is cool. Embrace the moment. But, like, don't give that person too much respect. Because sometimes when you come from high school, you're like, oh, these college athletes, like, college athletes are great. And it is a step up from high school. But people often surprise themselves. And that's what I love seeing is when the freshmen, and anybody, but when the freshmen in particular win that first match, that's big. That's cool. Like the singlet's cool, but seeing them win that first match where they're like, they get that flicker of belief where they're like, oh, I can do this. That's super cool and I think transformative. So I'm really excited about this year to see that happen with our incoming freshmen as well.
What is that like getting to see them represent the Southern Oregon and representing the logo on their singlet?
I think there's a lot of pride in it, right? That this has a long history of multiple national titles in multiple sports. I was lucky enough to be on the team 2 years ago that we won the first female women's wrestling national title for this school. They had won some men's titles before, but that was also the year that they had sanctioned the NAIA national title too. So we got to do that in such a like very cool inaugural year. And so that was cool in the wrestling world, but in every sport here, there's so much success, and this is a very highly competitive school, and this town takes so much pride in our school and in our athletics. They're very invested, and people always come out to watch. And so being able to represent when you have so many people that care and such a long history at this school of success, it's special. It's pretty cool. So it's something really cool to be a part of.
As a head coach, what has that been like at getting to see those seniors put on that singlet for Southern Oregon for the last time?
I haven't got to see it yet as a head coach, but as a teammate and as an assistant coach, it's both exciting and, sad in a way, like heartwarming type of sad, where you just remember all the memories with your teammates or with your athletes. And I think what makes it super cool is just seeing the person they've become, because wrestling is a challenging sport and it challenges every part of you, and it really can grow your character. And I think that, I mean, there's a whole network for wrestlers in business because people want to hire wrestlers, right? They become very capable people that are success driven. And that translates so well into the real world, and into your jobs and into your careers and your families. And so seeing them, take off that singlet and finish their college time, it's like, I know you're going to go succeed at the next best thing because of what you've shown being able to be a college level wrestler for that whole time. So it's a very exciting thing, as well as it's heartwarming and slightly sad, but it's like, I know you're going to go succeed because of what you've already shown and what you've already done in the program. So yeah.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing them put on that uniform for the last time, but then going on and going to AEW or WWE or even the national team route?
Yeah, I can't say I've had I had anybody go to WWE quite yet. But it is a very cool opportunity that's been arising for wrestlers. But seeing people, continue up to that national level, to the senior level, it's big, and I think it should be the goal, or not should be, but for the athletes that want that, that should be the goal, right? Because there in college is a lot of importance to the college scene and a lot of emphasis on that and to the collegiate competition. But then right after our national tournament, like there are senior level events, there are age group world team trials of all ages. And I think it's really big. We do a lot of fundraising to try to make sure that we can provide that opportunity to all of our wrestlers that are at that level and want to go compete at those tournaments. Because when you have goals in the college scene, it's like it normally translates to you having goals outside of the college scene. And so, yeah, I think it's really cool to see them go on. I think that college rooms are very developmental, like towards that level. I don't think it's often as big of a jump as people think. A lot of people will have senior level success while in college. And so I think that what's key though is just being a program that provides those opportunities to get that exposure, to build that confidence by going to those tournaments, and to have the opportunity to qualify for those teams and make those that level. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
What would you tell your younger self now, looking back on your career as a head coach at your alma mater?
What would I tell myself now? I don't know. I'm proud of you. I don't really have too many regrets. There's a lot of things I didn't do too well, but maybe one thing I would say would be eat more, cut weight less. That would be something I would tell myself. I focused too much on making the lightest weight possible rather than being the best athlete possible for quite some time. And I think in the second half of the later half of my college career is when I started to figure that out. And I think young kids could learn that a little bit sooner, and they would have more success, and there'd be less quitting in the sport, like less burnout. So that would be something I would tell myself. Yeah, just enjoy it, have fun. I took it too serious sometimes. I think I've had the most success in this sport when I was taking it the least serious, like working hard, of course, and doing what needs to be done, but not focusing too much on the winning and putting pressure on myself. So
what are some of your future plans for the women's wrestling program at Southern Oregon?
got to focus on this year first. But I think just being a program that has already had success, right? There can sometimes be pressure to continue that success, but focusing on winning and like driving the success needs to happen idea into them isn't really what my vision is, but rather, I think I've said it before, somewhat repetitive, but building a good culture and giving opportunities to those that want opportunities, and really just building a culture of caring for each other and of focus and a common goal. And I think when you create a culture of people that are working hard, doing the right things, focused on a common goal, or focused on at least each other's success as well as their own, that winning is kind of a byproduct of that. And so I guess my main vision would just be to create a very healthy, tough culture, right? Where they love each other, they have fun, but they know what it takes to have success too. So that would be my main vision, I guess.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college women's wrestling?
Just believe in yourself. Don't give people too much credit. I think I said that earlier, but have fun with it. Be a sponge. Learn as much as you can. Respect your teammates when they give you advice. They've been in it and you haven't. Respect your coaches, whether that be assistants or heads. And then just absolutely believe in yourself. Make people prove that they're better than you, because entering a a new scene where it's kind of a level up from high school, it can be tempting to put yourself pretty low in your expectations. But make people prove that they're better before just believing that as you enter a match. So believe in yourself would be a big one.
What advice would you give those college juniors out there transitioning into being seniors and leading the program?
I would say lead by your example. Actions speak louder than words, as everybody says, but it's very true. Just because of your age, it doesn't make you a leader. You can be a freshman and be more of a leader than a senior. So I would say step into the role and take responsibility by your actions, by your words, by not spreading negativity on the team, but by leading first by example. And then once people respect your example, they'll respect your words. And so when you're a senior, it's a little more natural for people to look to you. So just make sure that what you do is beneficial to your team, because that's your team, because they're going to be watching no matter what. So those actions are going to speak one thing or another. So make sure that it's investing in the team that is your team and has been your team for years.
What advice would you give those players looking to go on to play professionally, whether it's AEW or WWE?
I'd say get exposure, right? If there's an opportunity to go wrestle in like an age group world team, whether that be U20, U23, doing like a senior world team challenge tournament, doing the US Open, try to just go. If you don't think you're ready, like if it's an opportunity and a door that's open for you, take the opportunity, because just going to events and getting that exposure, even if you maybe don't win the first time you go, the next time you go, that experience is going to be so valuable. You'll be less nervous. You'll know what to expect a little bit more. You'll give people there, like you'll feel a little bit more on their level, if maybe you struggle with seeing people as better than you quite frequently. And then try to invest in any camps you can go to. The OTC has a lot of camps and offers a lot of opportunities, the Colorado Springs Olympic Training Center. And so like if that's an opportunity, again, just walk through doors that are open. Don't turn things down because you don't think you're ready. And then a big one would be prioritize being healthy and taking care of your body. If you have any injuries or any ailments, those that succeed at the top level, they do rehab even when they're not injured. Like they avoid problems, and when they have something small, they don't let it become something big. And that is something that I did not do in my younger college years. It's like, oh, I'm going to tough it out, but take care of yourself, because you can only wrestle at a professional level for so long if you haven't taken care of your body. As you get older, it starts to break down a little bit. So that would be my last bit of advice for them.
What advice would you give those people looking to go on to the Olympic level and represent US or Canada in the Olympics?
I think same thing goes, right? For wrestling, there isn't necessarily like a professional level. It's just that you're on the senior level and you either, like, I guess you consider professional elite athletes, which is when you are basically national teams, senior world team, Olympic teams. So same thing goes, right? Not much different. Just get exposure, push yourself to go to things that you don't quite feel ready for, and just stay in it. If it's a goal of yours, like for example, I think I went to 3 US Opens and didn't place, and then I won my 4th time. So you never know when it's your time. You just keep working and keep showing up and walking through doors that are open. That's pretty much the name of the game in women's wrestling, right? Is just push yourself and walk through doors that are open and keep believing. So
what advice would you give those coaches looking to get started in coaching in college women's wrestling?
Reach out. Like there are a lot of programs popping up. The sport's growing rapidly. A lot of universities and colleges are starting up women's programs. And so I would just keep an eye out for programs that are popping up. And if there's a program you're interested in that you feel like is nearby you, or just a program you've always admired or wanted to be a part of, just reach out, because there sometimes are limited rosters of how many assistant coaches you can have, or like if a head coach position opens, of course, but often people are looking for more coaches and looking for more people to add to their team, especially as the roster sizes are growing for women's wrestling college programs. So I would just reach out to a program you're interested in and then keep an eye out, because a lot of new programs are popping up.
What advice would you give those new head coaches out there looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
Culture is everything. Recruit good kids that can wrestle rather than the best wrestlers out there. And the best wrestlers out there, of course, recruit them too if they're good people. But like it just matters more. Like you can develop wrestling with technique is one thing, right? And you can help people with their character. But if you're bringing in just a toxic environment of people only focused on themselves, people that don't want to buy into the coach and what the coach is saying or trust the coach, and again, just people that maybe will fail out of school, like they're not focused on their grades or only focused on one thing, which is wrestling, like invest in good people. And if it takes time to start winning, that's okay. Like build a program. If you're building it from the ground up, then you're going to save yourself. And I haven't done this, but I'm just speaking on what my opinion is. Like, I think you're going to save yourself a lot of hardship by recruiting people that care, that are going to work hard, and that are going to trust you rather than maybe the number ones and number twos. Again, nothing wrong with them, but it's just you can recruit people based on their character, and it's going to go a lot farther, I think, and than only recruiting based on wrestling skill.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the Southern Oregon's women's wrestling program?
Let me make sure I don't mess up this handle. My Instagram is, well, you can just search Joy Levendusky, but J Levens 18, fun. And then the SOU Women's Wrestling Instagram, that's just what it is. It's SOU Women's Wrestling. And so that would be the main place, probably Instagram. That's where we try to post more for the women's wrestling team and stuff.
Thank you again, Coach Joyce Levendusky, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as the Southern Oregon's head women's wrestling coach.
Thank you, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Joyce Levendusky, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.